spiritual warfare. Somebody sent me a video about a root worker attacking somebody. Not a witch, but a root worker. And there's different kinds, you know. Most Christians have no clue all of the different things. So, and I was raised to be a Native American medicine woman. In that study, kind of required reading in my home was reading about the different ways that different medicine women, mostly around the Americas, work. So whenever you go down to Louisiana area and down into Mexico, you've got some certain dynamics down there. Whenever you go up into Montana and the Dakotas, you've got a different dynamic up in there, okay? So, but I studied them all, basically. And I'm not saying that I know everything about all of it. But when you are being spiritually attacked and there is another person involved, okay? And Christians tend to say, oh my goodness, the devil's after me. The devil, the enemy is against me and I'm getting spiritually attacked. And that they tend to not really put pinpoint where it's coming from, where the root of it is coming from. So I was shared this video and I would show it to you, but it didn't have a download thing where I could do that, and I don't remember who it was, but it doesn't matter. It was like 3 different people sharing things. So somebody was attacked, put up a video asking who it was, and then somebody and blaming it on a witch. And the next person is like, oh, this isn't a witch, this is a root worker. And the next person is saying, well, it's a sloppy root worker at that. And she said that a majority of her clients in her spiritualism are Christians. And whenever they're being attacked, she asks them how they protect themselves. And they tell her they pray. Okay, and she said that's just the first step, which I absolutely agree with her on that. Prayer is the first step. And I always say, instead of pray, don't just pray, and don't pray like a hedge of protection. A lot of people like to do like a hedge of protection. Pray a bubble of protection around you, okay? A bubble of protection around you, around your land, your home, whatever you have authority over. Pray a bubble of protection and reinforce that bubble. But she was also talking about, in the Bible, it talks about hyssop for cleansing the temple. And, we don't think about those things, but as more and more believers are starting to learn about essential oils and stuff, and I've got some right here that I've mixed myself, okay? As we are learning more and more about essential oils and things, and the Bible talks about herbs and oils, so, and incense and things like that. That's not just New Age guru stuff, that is Bible. Satan takes things and the enemy twists things. That's in a candle. The wick has to be twisted in order for it to work properly. That's why it's called wicked. Okay? Twisted. So the enemy doesn't come up with anything on their own. It's all coming from God, and it's twisted. So whenever you hear something and you're like wanting to say, oh, that's pagan, or oh, that's witchcraft, or oh, that's, whatever, think about what the root behind it is. What was God's original purpose? And God used, or told the people to use hyssop to cleanse the temple. Now, this is part of the red heifer thing. They burnt the red heifer to make the ash for the lye soap, and it was a hyssop lye soap, okay? So, if you can find some hyssop soap that is clean soap, that's a good thing, okay? Or essential oil. Put a few drops of hyssop essential oil in your bath. Or it only takes a few minutes for anything you put on the bottom of your feet. It only takes minutes for it to get to the top of your head, the way your body absorbs things. So put a few drops of hyssop oil on the bottom of your feet every day. That is a cleansing thing, and we need to keep our bodies clean. Also, we're told to do bitter herbs during the Passover time period and to stay away from leavening yeast for a period of time. And we've got the counting of the days from the Feast of Unleavened Bread and the first fruits to Pentecost or Shavuot. That's the 50 days of counting. It's a great time to fast. Not to just not eat at all for 50 days, but a time of fasting. Okay, so that's a cleansing. A parasite cleanse with the bitter herbs is a cleansing. Things like that. And then in the fall, we have the Feast of Trumpets, and then we have the Day of Atonement, which is an absolute fast day. And these are just days apart. So you have the Feast of Trumpets. 10 days later, you have the Day of Atonement, which is a fast day. And then a little bit after that, we've got the Feast of Tabernacles, which is a week-long camping vacation, basically. Okay, these all had specific purpose for your health, your mental health, all of these things that everybody's having issues with today because they got away from the Bible because supposedly Jesus abolished the law. No, he said, I did not come to abolish the law. He came to fulfill it. He came to show you the purposes for these things. Okay, and we've lost that. We've been deceived into believing that the Old Testament doesn't matter. And that's baloney. Get it out of your head. Go back, read your Old Testament, and think how you can apply it to your life. And don't tell me, well, we don't do the sacrifices anymore. Every time you have a barbecue, you are having a sacrifice, okay? It's just, we're not doing like the ceremonial stuff, and we are still living in exile away from the land. Okay, so there are some things that apply to those in exile and apply to those not living in the land or that are not in the land during the feasts. Okay, there are specific situations for us written in that law, and if you don't know it, then you don't know what you're doing. Okay, so anyway, for the spiritual protection, yes, physical cleansing, spiritual cleansing, and then another step beyond that she didn't go into, she talked about how spiritually clean the Muslims are. But there's another aspect there. The Muslims have a spirit that has authority over them, that they give authority over themselves too. And in the temple, the Ark of the Covenant, when the glory of God, the Shekinah glory, was with the Ark of the Covenant, Dagon got thrown down on the ground and got broken. Okay, so you make sure that your temple is not only cleansed, but it is filled. It needs to be filled with the Spirit of the Lord, with the Holy Spirit. And then you can pray. You can be cleansed physically inside and out. And you can have the Holy Spirit full in you where there's no room for anything else. And there is no witch, no hex, no root worker or anybody else. And that happens a lot more than you think it does. That can touch you. You are covered. Not just covered in the blood. You are covered, cleansed, and filled. Do you see what I mean? So you can say, oh, I'm covered in the blood. That's great. We can cover a bunch of poo and blood out in the pasture too, and that's not going to do a whole lot of good. You need to be cleansed and filled too. You fill that wineskin. You make it a new wineskin, and you fill it with the good wine. That's what you need to do from the vine, right? That's how you protect yourself.